Fix your face, oh Yaakov, Selah. Lift up your heads, all ye gates, and be lifted up, ye everlasting doors. And Melech Kabod shall come in. Who is Melech Kabod? Yahuwah, strong and mighty. Yahuwah, mighty in battle. Lift up your heads, all ye gates, and be ye lifted up, ye everlasting doors. And Melech Kabod shall come in. Who is Melech Kabod? Yahuwah, Sabaoth. He is Melech Kabod. Selah. Yahuwah, Arohi. Yahuwah, El Shaddai. Lakam, La Shalom. Lakam, La Shalom.
Shemai, Yasharal, Yahusha, Lakam, La Shalom.
Shema.
Shemai, Yasharal, Yahusha, Lakam, La Shalom.
Shema. Shema. He fight our battles. 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 Shema. 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 He fight our battles. 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 He fight our battles.
Shalom, shalom, everybody. Shalom, shalom, Mishpachah. All praise to the Most High. Told out to Yahuwah and Yahusha. Told out to Yahuwah, Alua of Yisrael. Much Ahavah to the Mishpachah. We gotta get started, y'all.
Yeah.
Hallelujah. Shalom, shalom, Mishpachah. Hoping all is well. Going to open up with prayer. Yahuwah, we want to thank you, Abba. We want to say Todah Rabbah, Abba. Todah Rabbah, Father, for another day today. For another prep day, Father. Todah Rabbah for blessing us with another prep day, Yahuwah. Another day on Most High. Oh, Father, to prepare for the Kodesh day that you set apart from the other days of the week, the Shavuot. Oh, Father, blessings, glory, and honor be to your holy name. Blessings, glory, and honor be to your Kodesh name. Oh, Yahuwah Eluah of Yasharel, how amazing are you? How wonderful are your holy ways. Todah Rabbah for your Ruach. Todah Rabbah for your Ahavah, Father. Yahuwah, I pray in the name of Yahusha that you baruch this discussion, that you baruch this word, Father. Oh, Yahusha, how excellent is your name across the earth. How excellent is your wonderful name, Father. For you bless us with your favor, and you blanket us with your loving kindness. You strengthen us, oh Father, with your power, with power from on high, from the Shamaim. For you have called us, O Most High, and chosen us, O Most High. You blessed us, Yahuwah, and caused us to walk in your ways. You bless us to be your chosen people, Father. We have chosen of Eluah. Kodesh of Eluah. Todah Rabbah, Yahusha. Todah Rabbah, Father. I pray in the name of Yahusha, O Most High, that you bless this word, Father, that it be your words, Abba. That it be your words and not mine, Abba. I pray in the name of Yahusha that you baruch every comment, Father. I pray, O Most High, that you, O Father, fill us all with your Ruach HaKodesh in your presence. As we go through these prophetic words, Father, that's pinned down by our forefathers, Father, by our ancestors, by our people. Yahuwah Eluah of Yasharel, oh, bless, give us understanding, Father. Give us eyes to see and ears to hear everything that you want to convey to us through this message, Father. Oh, may it be so and may it be established, Abba. May it be so and may it be established. Oh, Yahuwah. May the teachings of the scriptures, Father, bring healing and restoration, Father. May the teachings, oh, Most High, of the scriptures bring correction, oh, Father, and right movements. Todah Rabbah, Saba. Todah Rabbah, oh, Most High. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. May it be so. Hallelujah. Shalom, shalom. Shalom, shalom, everybody. Shalom Barakot, y'all. This is Ya'ag Mushar Asaph Yahoo. Mushar from the Austin Assembly. Just want to give a big shalom and ahad to each and every one of y'all. I want to give a big shalom and ahad to my Isha, Amet. Hallelujah. Todah Yahusha for her. So I want to give eternal honors to Yahuwah and Yahusha. I want to give eternal honors to Saba Yahuwah and Ab Yahusha. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. I want to give infinite honors to Melech Musha, infinite honors to Melech Yahusha. I want to give a double honors to Malka Kayil and Malka Yada. I want to give a double honors to Hagabira Malaka, Deborah, and Rosh Aluf Yithro. Double honors to Rosh Ya'as, Yeshayahu. Double honors to the Mushalim and the Mushalaot. Double honors to the Gabira O, Gabira Chava, and Gabira Ahaba Shalom. And honors to the Sarah Yamin, the Shara Ezers, Hadarim, Yakum Yamin. And honors to where all is due. Hallelujah, hallelujah. Todah to Yahuwah and Yahusha. Todah to the Most High. Todah to the Most High. Blessings, glory, and honor be to his holy name. Blessings, glory, and honor. Blessings, kabod, and honor be to Yahuwah Eluah of Israel. We sing praises to the name of Yahuwah Eluah Most High. It's a blessing to be on here, y'all. Blessing to be on here. Hallelujah. So, yeah, y'all, we're gonna continue going into Ezekiel. Let's see who I see on here. Ima Oriah, shalom and honors to you. Shalom and barakot. Cody Selah, shalom, sis. Shalom. Cody Wansina, shalom, shalom. Shalom, shalom. Kimrick Lamarck Richardson, shalom and barakot. Shalom and barakot. I am his. Shalom, shalom. I am his. I saw your message and I'm gonna try to it's a through question. As far as me being able to try to post more ahead of time when we will be on, when we will be live, just so y'all will have more of a heads up, and also when we will not, or at times where things might have been canceled due to situation or something, you know. So I will try to, I'm going to be looking into that. Shahonda Johnson, shalom, shalom to you. Shalom, shalom. Tabitha Kumi, shalom. Shalom Barakot. Shalom and blessings. Anthony Christopher Versace. Shalom Versace. But shalom Barakot to you, fam. Shalom Barakot. Ari Moshe Yisrael. Shalom, shalom. Benjamin Roseman. Shalom, shalom. Ahmad Tabitha Yahoo. Shalom Barakot to you. Shalom and blessings. Cody Salar, a.k.a. Gigi. Shalom Barakot to you. Shalom and blessings. So we got two Selahs on here. That's dude. Shema Yisrael. Shalom, Shema. Shalom and blessings. Let's see. Who else? Ima Yashayahu. Shalom and honors. Cody Simka. Shalom. Shalom and Barakot. Shout out to Dawood and Simka. Let's see. Oh, man. Cody Salar, you sure did. I got you. We had a lot going on, and I lost. I totally forgot. I meant to get back to you on that. I got you, though. Told out for the reminder. Told out Yahuwah. Most definitely. All right. So let's go ahead and get it in. So, again, as I was saying here, yeah, matter of fact, Cody Salar, let me see something. Yeah, I'll get with you. Yeah, it'll be easier to do it over the email. Yeah, all praise to the Most High. All right, so we're going to start with Ezekiel chapter 29. Last week we were covering, it was 2 weeks ago, because last week I couldn't make it on because of some things was going on. I was down there with the Mishpaka and Augusta and Anderson. All praise to the Most High for that. Shout out to the Anderson tribe and Augusta tribe, the royal houses. All praises to the Most High. So let's see here. Ezekiel 29. There we go. All right. So before we were going into Yahuwah's judgments on Tyre. So Yahuwah had Ezekiel when we got and talked about this 2 weeks ago. Yahuwah had Ezekiel proclaim and declare judgments against Tyre. Tyre and Sidon, and how we talked about how Tyre is like a land of merchants. It was a land of business. How it was like, a place that was where the merchants were the princes, where the heads and the leaders were the businessmen. Basically the corporations ran the country. You know what I'm saying, in a sense. And so that's kind of an aspect of how Tyre was. And then we read, and then you saw how the king of Tyre was powered by Hasatan, because you read in Ezekiel 28, and you see that then Yahuwah starts first talking about the king of Tyre, then it transitions into him talking about the power behind the king, which was basically Hasatan. And so there's some insight about Hasatan in Ezekiel 28, that he's the power behind these major kingdoms, these major nations, and things of that sort. But so now we're transitioning into chapter 29, where Yahuwah is actually going to have Ezekiel to declare and to actually prophesy against Mitzraim now, against Egypt. So this is what we're going to get on. Let's see here. This is chapter 29. So we'll start here shortly. Let's see here. There we go. All right, y'all. Give me about 1 minute here. Bear with me.
Show me favor according to your steadfast love. Show me favor according to your kindness. Blot out my transgressions. Oh, Allah, blot out my transgressions. Oh, Allah, show me favor.
All right, y'all. We're going to get it in, Miss Parker. We got it. All right. So, told out for y'all patience. So, we're going to start with Yechezq'El or Ezekiel, chapter 29, verse 1. It says, in the 10th year, in the 10th month, on the 12th day of the month. So, yeah, it's when Ezekiel, that's how, when Ezekiel was writing, a lot of times he did these timestamps to mark the date of when, these things that came to him, when the Most High gave these words to him. And this is a through practice for you to do. It's a through practice, Most High gives you a word to actually, and then you write it down to actually mark the date, to date it. A lot of times, if someone from the Mishpacha will send me a word that they got, the Most High showed them a dream. A lot of times I'll be curious about what date did that, when did that, you receive that, what date? Sometimes there's some significance surrounding the date. surrounding the timing of it. You see what I'm saying? So it's always through to do that. But let's keep going. So it says, then the word of Yahuwah came to me, saying, Son of man, set your face against Pharaoh, king of Mitzraim, or Egypt, and prophesy against him and against all of Mitzraim. So now, y'all think about this, y'all. So Mitzraim is a major power. Mitzrayim is a powerhouse. It was a world power at this time, and from a physical sense, it seemed like Israel compared to Mitzrayim is very small, very insignificant. Things like that. So it's like, man, like how does this person from this small nation that's nowhere near as powerful from a physical perspective, how can an individual from this land have enough authority and power to declare and to prophesy against this major kingdom? And that's the power of Yahuwah. That is the significance of the people of the Most High. That yet maybe be small, may seem insignificant, but moves with great authority. Because Yahuwah is with them. Alua is with them. So the Most High has Ezekiel to prophesy against Mitzrayim. This is why you had the children of Israel throughout time. They went up and were able to go before kings and declare things. Someone like Moshe able to go before Pharaoh. Someone like Daniel able to go before Nebuchadnezzar. Because see, the Alua of Israel, our Alua is the Alua of the universe. That's the difference between us and these other nations. Like, man, a lot of people don't really understand the level of distinction that comes with being of Israel. It's a major distinction because, you'll hear some people that'll ask, well, there's a lot of Aluas out there, or if y'all don't know what Aluas mean, it's Alua, Gods in English. But there's a lot of different things that people worship all around the world. What make yours right? And it's like, surely there is. But then you had a Most High. And a lot of these other nations knew about the Most High. They knew about the Most High. I mean, they didn't know him, but they knew of him. They knew about him. They knew that he existed. But they had their own Aluas who they worshiped. That was assigned to their nation. That was assigned to their designated to their territory. And so they moved forward accordingly and worshiped them. But then you had a Most High who decides to have a nation to himself. He decides to pick a people to himself. And it's interesting that the people that he chose for himself was the youngest of all the nations of the world, were one of the smallest, was what many in the world would look at as insignificant. And he said, yeah, I'm going to choose, those are my people. I'm going to make them my nation. And this nation becomes a battle axe. Is able to go before kings and declare a thing and to come to pass, declare judgment against nations who are much bigger and powerful and mightier, who are able to go and with great authority and have with dominion and power and might and strength. Let's look at Revelation 12 real quick. No, Revelation 11. Y'all look at this. We talked about this when we covered Revelation a few months ago. It says, then I was given a reed like a measuring rod, and the Malak stood, saying, rise and measure the temple of Eluah, the altar, and those who worship there. But leave out the court which is outside the temple, and do not measure it, for it has been given to the nations. And they will tread the Kodesh city underfoot for 42 months, and I will give power to my 2 witnesses. And they will prophesy 1,260 days, clothed in sackcloth. So y'all, these are the two witnesses that we talked about. This, is layers to it, but a major aspect of the 2 witnesses is the nation of Israel. They represent the nation, the northern and southern kingdom. That's one aspect to it. But look what it says here. It says, these are the 2 olive trees and the 2 lampstands standing before the Eluah of the Eretz. And if anyone wants to harm them, fire proceeds from their mouth and devours their enemies. And if anyone wants to harm them, he must be killed in this manner. These have power to shut the Shamaim so that no rain falls in the days of their prophecy, and they have power over waters to turn them to blood. And look at this. And to strike the earth with all plagues as often as they desire. We don't think about this, y'all, when we talk about the nation, the children of Israel, the witnesses of Yahuwah. How will the witnesses have power to strike the earth with plagues? You think that the witnesses are going and doing like what the other nations do, and they go and try to come up with these biological concoction that they can drop biological spray it through the air in airplanes or through other ways? They call it biological warfare. Try to get people infected with certain things as an act of war. Chemical warfare. Try to get chemicals sprayed certain areas that cause certain sicknesses. No. It's through a word. It's through a declaration. It's through prophecy. Through declaring the word by the power of the Ruach and the authority of the Most High can strike the earth with plagues. That's why it says here, going back up, that in verse 5, it says, if anyone wants to harm them, this is talking about the 2 witnesses, it says fire proceeds from their mouth and devours their enemies. What does that mean? Does that mean that fire will literally come out of the mouths of the Kodesh witnesses of Yahuwah? I submit what that is saying is that the words they will speak or declare against nations, they will declare against the enemies, they will declare against peoples, and it will happen. It will declare judgments, and it will happen. This is the power of the witnesses of Yahuwah. This is why when we're reading Ezekiel, Yahuwah has Ezekiel, hey, declare against this nation. Prophesy against Israel. Prophesy against Tyrus. Even when Yahuwah had caused plagues to fall onto Mitzraim in the book of Shemot, in the book of Exodus, Yahuwah first had Moshe to declare it first, didn't he? Yahuwah had Moshe to declare. He didn't drop the plagues until Yahuwah declared it first. He had to go before Pharaoh. He had to go before, which is the king, and he had to declare that, hey, let my people go, or else, this is going to happen. And the Most High had Moshe do certain things to strike the earth with plagues. He'll have Moshe get dust and throw it in the air. Moshe was moving like the 2 witnesses. Like Yahuwah had Moshe to strike the earth with plagues. It was Yahuwah, but he did it through a person. You see what I'm saying? He did it through Moshe. That's why the Most High didn't just turn the Nile River blood red into blood. He didn't do that. He had Moshe to get the staff, and I believe he had him to put the staff in the water. I can't remember the specifics, but he had Moshe to do it. You get what I'm saying? I believe he struck I can't remember. I think he put the staff or held the staff over the water and made a declaration, and then the water turned to blood. It was something along those lines. But he always did it through Moshe. The power of the witnesses of Eluah. The power of the witnesses of the Most High. Death and life are in, what does it say? Death and life are in the power of the tongue. Did I say that right? I think it's in James or Jude. Let me see. Yeah, death and life are in the power of the tongue. I was way off. That's Proverbs. There is power in the tongue, especially the tongues of the witnesses of Eluah. Especially y'all. So what does that mean? Y'all got to be careful how y'all talk. Y'all got to be careful how y'all speak. Because unknowingly you can be speaking against yourself, just speaking in like idle words. Man, look. Like fam, mishpacha. Be careful of idle words. Be careful what you say. Like we've been reading in Ezekiel, the Most High made it to where Ezekiel couldn't even speak unless for a while. For the first several chapters, Ezekiel could not even speak. He closed his mouth. The only thing he could speak was from what was Yahuwah's words. Ezekiel wasn't able to do anything, speak anything else. It's like he shut his mouth. So he wasn't allowed to do any idle words, any idle talking. And that's interesting to me because, man, we say stuff sometimes and we don't really pay attention to what we be saying. You know, let's say somebody birthday come and you start speaking, oh man, I'm getting old. Boy, I tell you, man, look, I'm getting older and slower. You start talking like that, like, man, don't say that. You speaking stuff up on yourself. You speaking against yourself. No, say, hey, I'll praise to the Most High for another year. Feeling better than ever. All praises to Yahuwah. That's just a small example, but let's keep going. Go back to Ezekiel. It says, set your face against Pharaoh, king of Egypt, Mitzraim, and prophesy against him and against all Egypt. See, we don't look at prophecy as that. We always, for some reason, we looked at prophecy a lot of times as just telling the future. That's not really that can be that's definitely an aspect of prophecy, but that's just only an aspect. That is not prophecy in its fullness, just telling the future. Prophecy is not fortune telling. Prophecy is not divination. Prophecy is prophecy. And a lot of times prophecy is declaring a thing. Declaring a thing and it's coming to pass. I submit that's an aspect of prophecy. Verse 2, Son of man, set your face against Pharaoh, king of Mitzraim, and prophesy against him and against all Mitzraim. Speak and say, thus says Adon Eluah, behold, I am against you, O Pharaoh, king of Mitzraim, O great monster who lies in the midst of his rivers. So the understanding with that word monster is probably referring to like alligators, crocodiles, because That's that was the big that was the thing that was in the Nile River that really was like that monster in the river. And also there is an Alua that the Egyptians worshipped, like an alligator type of Alua that they worshipped in ancient Egypt. It's like something that had dominion in the Nile, dominion over the water. So they kind of actually worship that thing. But it says, who has said, my river is my own. I have made it for myself. Now, one thing about pharaohs, and you saw that in the book of Shemot, is that for some reason, pharaohs had this thing to where they thought they were Alua. They had this thing where they believed they was Alua. It was interesting. But it sounds like that same thing was the case even way down here and during the days of Ezekiel. Verse 4, I will put my hooks in your jaws and cause the fish of your rivers to stick to your scales. I will bring you up out of the midst of your rivers, and all the fish in your rivers will stick to your scales. I will leave you in the wilderness, you and all the fish of your rivers. You shall fall on the open field. You shall not be picked up or gathered. I have given you as food to the beasts of the field and to the birds of the Shamaim. And all the inhabitants of Mitzraim shall know that I am Yahuwah, because they have been a staff of reed to the house of Israel. So he's judging them because he's like, man, they've been a staff of reed to the house of Israel. That means like a weak staff is the way I took it. See what that word for reed is. Let's see. Kane, yeah, so that's more of like, yeah. So that's what I took it as, like a reed, like the reeds in the yeah, branch, a reed, a stalk. Okay. So it just hasn't been a thub staff. It's been a weak staff. Verse 7, when they took hold of you with the hand, you broke and tore all their shoulders. When they leaned on you, you broke and made all their backs quiver. Man. So it just wasn't something the Israelites tried to depend on Egypt, and in Egypt, they just weren't dependable. They hurt them. They hurt Israel every time, or at times when they tried to depend on Mitzraim. So it may mean like the reed may mean like a sharp stick. You try to lean on it and it cuts you, and it breaks you. You know what I'm saying? Verse 8, therefore thus says Adon Alua, surely I will bring a sword upon you and cut off from you man and beast, and the land of Mitzraim shall become desolate and waste. Then they will know that I am Yahuwah, because he said the river is mine and I have made it. Indeed, therefore I am against you and against your rivers. See, so we know that the Nile was the center of Mitzrayim. And what's crazy is that Pharaoh had the nerve to be like, the river is mine and I have created the river. When we know that Yahuwah is the one who created the rivers, the seas, the earth, and everything in it. The heavens, the seas, the earth, the rivers, the streams, all these things like that. Yahuwah created these things. So now you got Pharaoh basically trying to come in and be like Yahuwah. So that goes back to Hasatan. That's the whole house. That's a very Hasatan type of trait. Because that's what Hasatan said, I believe, in Isaiah 14, where he said, I will sit up on the hill, and I will be like the Most High. That's something that the Hasatan said, I believe, according to Isaiah, Yeshayahu 14. And so it's like the Pharaoh. We can tell who's probably empowering the power behind Pharaoh. It's the same power that was behind the king of Tyre. It's the same power behind the king of Tyre, and that's Hasatan. Like, let's look at this. So this is a visual of basically of how things was set up during the days of Ezekiel. So you see, you have Mitzraim, or Egypt, was right here in this region right here. So then you got Judah. That's right here, Yehuda, Jerusalem, Damascus, and it's just kind of showing you a visual of the exile of the direction that they went to go into exile when Jerusalem was invaded by Nebuchadnezzar, and he exiled the captives this way. It's a long way all the way down to Babylon. So there's Babylon right here. So this is just a visual of how things were set up during the days of Ezekiel. And so remember, Ezekiel is here around this region, the river Chebar, around the area regions of Babylon. He's a captive who has been exiled, but he is prophesying against this region right now. So it's giving you an idea. He's not close to Mitzraim, but Yahuwah has him to prophesy against Mitzraim way over here, and it's coming to pass, y'all. That's the power of the people of the Most High. It's the power of the people of Yahuwah. That you can proclaim a thing even in the midst of captivity against the nations, and it'll come to pass. All right. That's why I've been saying for the longest that declaration is the real weapon of mass destruction. The word. All right, so this is the word for Tyre. If y'all remember the word for Tyre, the kingdom of Tyre that we talked about 2 weeks ago, it's Sor. So in Hebrew, it's Tyre. But in English, it's Tyre. But in Hebrew, it's actually Sor, Sadi Resh, or Sad Resh. And it's basically a stronghold for the heads, a stronghold for the chiefs, stronghold for the Roshim. Now look at this, y'all. Look at how, look at the Hebrew word for Mitzraim. We know in English it's Egypt, but remember in Hebrew it's Mitzraim. The Hebrew word for Tyre is Sor. The Hebrew word for Mitzraim or Egypt is Mitzraim. Mem, Sadi Resh Uamim. Do y'all see something that's interesting here? Look at it. Look at this now. This is the Hebrew word for Tyre, and this is the Hebrew word for Egypt. This is Tyre, and this is Egypt, Mishpaka. Notice that Egypt, the Hebrew word for Egypt, which is Mitzraim, literally has Sor right in the middle of it. Tyre, that's the Hebrew word for Tyre. Right there in the middle. Sadi Resh. Yeah, you saw it, Selah. You saw it. All praise to the Most High. So what does that mean? We talk about this a lot. That means that there is definitely a correlation between Mitzraim and Tyre, or between Egypt and Tyre. There's some sort of relationship between the two of them. And I'll submit one aspect of it is that, man, they're powered by the same person. They come from the same entity. So, Tyre is a stronghold for Yahuwah's heads. So let's go back. It's a stronghold for Yahuwah's heads. Mitzraim is a stronghold for the heads of the power. So Mitzraim, it's surrounded by the Mem. So it has the Mem on each side. Mitzraim has the Mem on each side. And then you got Sadi Resh Yod in the middle. So it's basically like Tyre, but it has the Mem. It's the Mem on each side, surrounded by chaos or the nations. That's what the Mem means. And so it's a stronghold for the heads of the powers that be in the midst of the nations. It's in the midst of the nations. So it's a stronghold for the heads of the powers that be that's in the midst of the nations. That's the breakdown for Mitzraim. Mitzraim has always been a stronghold for the nations. It has always been a stronghold for the nations. A stronghold is a place. So a stronghold is a place of refuge. It can be a place of protection. It can be a place of refuge, a place of protection. But a stronghold is also a lot of times a place where where you can shoot from, where you can attack other things from. A place where is like a military base would be considered a stronghold. It's a place that's fortified, a place where you're protected, but it's also a place of war where you can shoot arrows from, where you can dispatch, for modern day, you can dispatch air jets from there. You know, the military base, you'll have your fighter jets parked there. You'll have, your missiles there stored up there. You'll have, that's the stronghold. You see what I'm saying? And so Egypt had a very strong reputation for being the place where you can find refuge when there's chaos everywhere. Oh, yeah, let me make sure I said this right. I think I might have said it wrong. I think I said in the midst of the nations. I'm sorry. It's in the midst of chaos. So let me re-say that. Make sure I said it right because I don't remember. I might have misspoke accidentally. So Mitzraim, the breakdown. Let's go back. Make sure. The breakdown is, so you got the mem on each side. So the mem can mean the nations, a whole lot of people, the multitudes, and it can also mean chaos, because we know amongst the nations it's just chaos. It's full of wickedness and chaos when you're amongst the Gentiles. So it's a stronghold for the heads of the powers that be in the midst of chaos. That's the breakdown. That's the breakdown. In the midst of chaos, it's a stronghold for the heads. It's a stronghold for the heads of the powers that be. In the midst of chaos. Yeah, in the midst of chaos. So it's basically like whenever stuff is going wrong, whenever stuff is going crazy, people go to Egypt. That's where the nations go. They flee to Egypt for refuge. And it's like I said before, it's a stronghold, meaning it's a place where you can fight from to dispatch things and shoot from while still being protected. That's the idea of a stronghold. You get what I'm saying? So Israel had a reputation for always looking at Egypt for help when they were in trouble. Israel, for some reason, we always turned to Egypt for help when we were in trouble. It's just this track record where we would go to Egypt to seek refuge whenever there was chaos going on, whenever there was a famine, whenever, some enemy was trying to come against us, we would try to turn to Mitzraim. Let's look at Bereshit chapter 12, Mishpaka. Let's look at Bereshit chapter 12. All right, Bereshit chapter 12, verse 1. It says, "Now Yahuwah has said to Abram, get out of your country, from your family, and from your father's house, to a land that I will show you. So this is a word Yahuwah was given to Abraham. Many of us are familiar with this passage. I will make you a great nation. I will baruch you and make your name great, and you shall be a blessing. I will baruch those who baruch you, and I will curse him who curses you. And in you, all the families of the arrests shall be blessed. So Abram departed as Yahuwah. Oh, man. How did it just flip like that? So Abram departed as Yahuwah had spoken to him. Man. So Abram heeded the word, and he left, as Yahuwah told him. And then his nephew Lot went with him, and Lot went with him. And Abram was 75 years old when he departed from Haran. Okay, so he was actually leaving. He was left from Haran. That's a whole nother thing, because his father actually started the trek from Babylon and stopped in Haran. Yahuwah had Abram to leave his father. It's a whole nother thing there. But the point is that he's leaving and he's going doing what Yahuwah said, and he's going to the promised land. Then Abram took Sarai's Isha and Lot his brother's son and all their possessions that they had gathered and the people whom they had required in Haran, and they departed to go to the land of Canaan. So they came to the land of Canaan. So he went to exactly where he went where Yahuwah told him to go. Yahuwah told Abram to go to the place where I show you. And what this is establishing is that the place that Yahuwah showed Abram to go to was Canaan or Canaan. Keep that in mind. So then look what it says here. So Abram, he passed through the land to the place of Shechem as far as the terebinth tree of Moreh, and the Canaanites were in the land. Then Yahuwah appeared to Abraham and gave him his blessing. He said, he said, to your descendants, I will give this land. And there he built an altar to Yahuwah who had appeared to him. And he moved from there to the east of Bethel, pitched his tent with Bethel on the west and Ai on the east. There he built an altar to Yahuwah and called on the name of Yahuwah. So Abraham journeyed going on still toward the south. Man, he was there. He did it. He moved in obedience. He was there. But look what happens here, verse 10. Now there was a famine in the land. Mishpachim. Yahuwah told him to go to Canaan. He told him to go there. But now there's a famine in the land. So what do? You're like, man, I'm where Yahuwah told me to be at. But now there's a famine. Man? And look what Abraham did. It says, and Abram went down to Mitzraim to dwell there, for the famine was severe in the land. Now let me ask you this. Did Yahuwah command Abram to go to Mitzrayim? Did Yahuwah tell Abram to go to Mitzrayim? To go to Egypt? No. Yeah. Natanya, yeah, Cody Selah. Yahuwah didn't tell Abram to do that. When you read it carefully, Yahuwah told Abram to go to Canaan, and then this is what solidifies that, because when Abraham got there, then Yahuwah gave him a word and said, "Yeah, this to your descendants, I'm gonna multiply your descendants here." And let me read it verbatim. He said, "I'm gonna multiply your descendants. I'm gonna bless your descendants." Oh yeah, here we go, verse 7. Hallelujah. Now look at this. When Abraham made it to Canaan, in verse 7 it says, then Yahuwah appeared to Abram and said, to your descendants, I will give this land. Yahuwah wasn't talking about Egypt. He wasn't talking about Mitzrayim. He was talking about this land, the land where Yahuwah told him to go, which is called Canaan at the time, or Canaan. But then chaos happened, y'all. Chaos. It says in verse 10, now there was a famine in the land. That's chaos, y'all. You know, a lot of times when a famine takes place, it causes chaos. And it says, Abram went down to Mitzraim to dwell there, for the famine was severe in the land. I submit to y'all that Abram probably should not have did that. He probably should not have went there. Yahuwah told him to go to Canaan. And I know it's easier said than done, but the reality is that if Abram would have just stayed where Yahuwah told him to, even though there was a famine, Yahuwah would have definitely provided for him. Yahuwah would have did whatever to make sure Abram was through. Man, look, we serve the same Most High who had rained manna from the Shamayim. You see what I'm saying? Like, man, Most High would have made sure he was through. But I submit we're reading an instance where Abram, he turned to Egypt and leaned on Egypt because he saw chaos going on. A famine was in the land. And y'all know the story because, man, look at verse 11. And when he went to Egypt, man, he had to lie and tell them people that Sarai was his sister. You know what I'm saying? He had to do that. And then he ended up, it was all kind of issues that happened. I submit it's probably because he wasn't supposed to go there. His wife ended up, he had to, tell them that, man, Sarai's my sister. They ended up taking Sarai, and the Most High had to make plagues go on to Pharaoh and the Egyptians just to let them go. Then on top of that, you had Hagar ended up becoming was a product of this trip to Egypt, which birthed the Ishmaelites. You see what I'm saying? Ideally, man, if they would have never went to Mitzraim, Hagar wouldn't have been a thing. They didn't get Hagar until they went to Egypt. That's why she is called Hagar the Egyptian. She was somebody that they acquired when they had left Mitzrayim, and Pharaoh gave them all these possessions when they left. So nevertheless, that's an example way early on where you see that our people had leaned we just leaned on Egypt a lot. Let's look at right here. And I didn't put a slide for this, but y'all remember with Joseph, we saw that happen. We saw that happen with Joseph during the days of Joseph. His brother sold him into slavery, and he was enslaved in Mitzrayim. Joseph was in prison in Mitzrayim, but then he got raised up to be the leader of Mitzrayim. He was right under Pharaoh as a leader in Mitzrayim. And when a famine had hit, his brothers, the way that he reunited with his brothers is that they went to Mitzrayim for refuge. They went to Mitzrayim for help due to the famine. So you saw that with Joseph too in Bereshit. And then we look at Devarim 17. Look what it says here. It says, when you come to the land which Yahuwah your Elohim has given you and possess it and dwell in it and say, I will set a king over me like all the nations that are around me, you shall surely set a king over you whom Yahuwah your Elohim chooses, one from among your brethren. That's big. That means you're not supposed to have the heathen. This is a side note, but you're not supposed to really have a heathen be setting up like someone of another nation to be a king over you. So for those who are big on presidential elections and things like that, it's just something to think about. Just a side note, something to think about. I know you can easily be like, well, that's different, but is it though? Is it? If you're putting your stock into a leader who's of, one of these other nations that oppressed our people for years, and you're putting all your stock in this person, is that really different than what's being said here? It says that it must be one from among your brethren. You shall set as king over you. You may not set a foreigner over you who is not your brother, but he shall not multiply horses. Now, this is about the kings. Now, listen to what it says here. It says, he shall not multiply horses for himself, nor cause the people to return to Mitzraim to do what? To multiply horses. So this was even a Torah in Devarim where Yahuwah was based. So what was Yahuwah saying here through Moshe? This was the laws for the kings, that they were not allowed to cause the people to return to Mitzraim to multiply horses. Mitzraim, so this is in reference to war, y'all. So horses back then were instruments of warfare. So basically what this is saying, I submit to y'all what this is. See, Mitzrayim was literally a stronghold. So that's what if you go to a military base, that's going to be the places with all the tanks, with all the fighter jets. It's a place where all the war items and tools and things that you need to go to war are stored at. They're stored in these strongholds and bases. And so Egypt was always known and famous for having unlimited amount of war horses, So people would go to Egypt to multiply horses for themselves. Egypt was the biggest, I submit Egypt was probably the biggest dealer of war machines. When I mean war machines, I mean horses and chariots in the known world. That ring a bell? That Egypt was the biggest distributor of horses and chariots, which was their war machine. One of the most effective war machines during that day. They were the biggest distributor of those things in the known world. Let's take a look at some. All right, this is just a quick article. Let me see if I can show y'all this article, show y'all my screen. Let me see if I can make this to work. Let's see. Yes, I can. All right. All right. So this is on Statista.com. It says, this is an article that was published on March 13th, 2024. So it's relatively recent. And it says, according to the Stockholm International Peace Research Institute, the United States remains the world's largest arms exporter, responsible for 41.7% of international arms sales between 2019 and 2023, up from 38.6% between 2017 and 2021. During the most recent time span, the country supplied arms to more than 100 countries, y'all. This is the U.S. Modern day Egypt, y'all. Modern day Egypt. And you see it right here in this Torah passage that it was a commandment from Yahuwah that the kings, that the children of Israel, the king was not allowed to go to Egypt to multiply horses for himself. He was not allowed to go and to do this. Let me bring that back, yo. And so this will kind of, drive the point home. Says, you shall surely set a king over you, whom Yahuwah your Elohim chooses, one from among your brethren. You shall set as king over you. You may not set a foreigner over you who is not your brother, but he shall not multiply horses for himself, nor cause the people to return to Mitzraim to multiply horses. For Yahuwah has said to you, you shall not return that way again, neither shall he multiply wives for himself, lest his heart turn away, nor shall he greatly multiply silver and gold for himself. So this is proving what I'm saying. So basically what Yahuwah is saying in this passage, or one aspect of it, the understanding of this Torah precepts in Devarim 17 surrounding the laws for the king, is that the king basically was not allowed to depend on worldly ways to defend Israel. They had to depend on Yahuwah and Yahuwah alone. Because see, we're thinking so the reason why the kings could not multiply wives, we're thinking from a carnal perspective. We're thinking, oh yeah, they're just not allowed to because of lust and things like that. Y'all, I submit to y'all, no, it's deeper than that. The kings will multiply wives. You know, it was a political and diplomatic way to keep peace with the nations surrounding them. So what kings would do in ancient times, they would marry a woman, maybe a daughter of a king from another nation. They would marry, that's why Solomon, y'all remember Solomon had like 7,000 wives, something like that. He had I can't remember. He had a crazy amount like an innumerable amount of wives. And he married people like Pharaoh's daughter. He married these different important figures. And it was not because of lust. Now, I'm not saying that didn't play a part, that was a factor. But no, the primary reason why Solomon had all these wives is to continue his peace campaign so that he would have peace amongst all the nations. It was a way to be political. It was a way to be diplomatic, to have relationships with the nations around you so that y'all will be cool with each other, so that y'all will stay allies and won't fight against each other. So this Torah precept is about not depending on anyone else but Yahuwah for defending and protecting Yasharel. That's why they couldn't go to Egypt to multiply horses. We, for some reason, had this thing when it comes to Mitzraim. Let's look at Yeshayahu chapter 31. I have it on the screen. It says, woe to those who go down to Mitzraim for help and rely on horses. Look at this, y'all. Who trust in chariots because they are many, and in horsemen because they are very strong, but who do not look to the Kodesh one of Israel, nor seek the Adon, nor seek the master. That was because that was against Devarim 17 to do that. That's what made Dawood so that's what set him apart so much. That's why he was just built differently. King David, he was built different from his son Solomon, man. For real. Here's an example. Second Samuel chapter 8. Look what it says here. 2 Samuel chapter 8, it says, after this it came to pass that David attacked the Philistines and subdued them. And David took Meget Amal from the hand of the Philistines. Then he defeated Moab, forcing them down to the ground. He measured them off with a line. With 2 lines, he measured off those to be put to death, and with 1 full line, those to be kept alive. So the Moabites became David's servants and brought tribute. David also defeated Hadadezer, the son of Rehob, king of Zobah, as he went to recover his territory at the river Euphrates. David took from him 1,000 chariots. Look what he did. David took from him 1,000 chariots. But I thought a king wasn't supposed to multiply horses, right? Let's see what David did. He took from him 1,000 chariots, 700 horsemen, and 20,000 foot soldiers. Also, David hamstrung all the chariot horses, y'all. Y'all see this? Let's see what that word for hamstrung is. So as you see, it can mean to pluck up, to root up, to be plucked, or to cut the hamstring. So that's what he did. So the hamstrung a horse, you basically make it to where it's not able to be mobile like that. I think they cut part of the leg. They cut the hamstring, or they do something where the horse can't be used anymore, functional in that regard anymore. That's what David did. He didn't multiply horses. As a matter of fact, even when he subdued enemies and he could have multiplied a bunch of horses as spoil, instead he hamstrung them to stay in line with Torah. He wasn't going to depend on that. He's going to depend on Yahuwah. And that's what the Most High wanted us to do. All right. So going back to Ezekiel. It says verse 4, but I will let's start with verse 3. It says, behold, I am speak and say, thus says Adon Alua, behold, I am against you, O Pharaoh, king of Mitzraim, O great monster who lies in the midst of his rivers, who has said, my river is my own, I have made it for myself. But I will put hooks in your jaws and cause the fish of your rivers to stick to your scales. I will bring you up out of the midst of your rivers, and all the fish in your rivers will stick to your scales. I will leave you in the wilderness, you and all the fish of your rivers. You shall fall on the open field. You shall not be picked up or gathered. I have given you as food to the beasts of the field, to the birds of the Chamaim. And then all the inhabitants of Mitzraim shall know that I am Yahuwah, because they have been a staff of reed to the house of Israel. When they took hold of you with the hand, you broke and tore all their shoulders. When they leaned on you, you broke and made all their backs quiver. So they haven't been through. They haven't been through the Yasharel. Yasharel leaned on them, and it was to their detriment. Verse 8, therefore thus says Adon Alua, surely I will bring a sword upon you and cut off from you man and beast, and the land of Mitzrayim shall become desolate and waste. Then they will know that I am Yahuwah, because he said, the river is mine and I have made it. Like, what? I made this. Verse 10, indeed, therefore I am against you and against your rivers, and I will make the land of Mitzrayim utterly waste and desolate from Migdal to Syene and as far as the border of Ethiopia. So keep in mind that when you're talking about the Nile River, y'all, so Pharaoh trying to say that he made the Nile River, when really it was the Nile River that made Mitzrayim. It's the Nile River that made him. Everything surrounded around the Nile River at Mitzrayim. That was why Mitzrayim was so powerful. That was a big reason of why Mitzrayim was so wealthy. That's one of the reasons why Mitzrayim was historically such a great kingdom, because they had one of the biggest rivers in the world flowing through it. So that made it a great a hub for export, import goods and services, a huge hub for a place of where there's a lot of fruitful, stoop soil, I should say, for growing of crops and food and things like that. Made it a major source of water. Everything surrounded around the Nile River. Major source of food with the fishing industry. The list goes on and on. But they say they made the Nile River. Crazy. So the Most High was really, really angry about that. He said, indeed, therefore I'm against you and against your rivers. And I will make the land of Mitzrayim utterly waste and desolate from Migdol to Syene. So that's basically from the whole countries. I think that's like from the north to the southernmost town. As far as the border of Ethiopia, neither foot of man shall pass through it, nor foot of beast pass through it, and it shall be uninhabited 40 years. I will make the land of Mitzrayim desolate in the midst of the countries that are desolate, and among the cities that are laid waste. Her city shall be desolate 40 years, and I will scatter the Mitzrites among the nations and disperse them throughout the countries. That is interesting, y'all, because we be thinking of the scattering, that Yahuwah only did us like that. Here's a prophecy where Yahuwah say he's going to scatter the Mitzrites, the Egyptians, throughout all the countries. That's deep. So Mitzrayim was scattered throughout the nations as well? Yes, it was. Yes, it was. Y'all, just think about it. Who are those people in the land that's called Israel today? Are they the ancient descendants of Abraham, Isaac, and Yaakov that are at least that are there today? For the most part, no. What about Mitzrayim? Who is in Mitzrayim today? Who is in the land called Egypt today? Are they the ancient descendants of Mitzrayim? No. For the most part, I should say no. Right now, the Arabs run Mitzrayim. It's the Arabic people who run Mitzrayim, y'all. The true Mitzrites were scattered just like we were. They were exiled out of their land too. Very, very interesting. Yeah, their identity was taken too. Have y'all followed any of the stuff with this big debate? There's been this big debate, man, going on regarding whether or not the original Mitzrites were black. It's a ridiculous debate to me. Like Egypt ain't Africa. Like, man, come on, dog. Like, come on, man. We really gonna argue about this. Like, I'm not in it at all, but I've just been seeing it. Like, for example, it was one lady, Will Smith, old wife. She had made a movie that was on Netflix. I never seen it or anything like that, but I saw the title. I think it was about Cleopatra, and they had the ancient Egyptians depicted as black, and there were outrages that came where people were really, especially the people in Egypt today. They really be going hard trying to be like, man, yeah, no. We the true, original Mitzrites. Like, come on, man. They done knocked the noses off of the ancient statues. You can look at the hieroglyphics. You can look on the wall. They were melanated people. You can look at, you don't even have to look at it. One thing about the Mitzrites and the Egyptians is that they had a lot of records. So it's not like something you have to guess. Like, they're even still mummies there. Like, come on, man. There's still mummies there where the other nations went and literally pillaged the mummies and looked at the bodies. There's pictures of the bodies. I'd be like, these were melanated. This is Africa. Come on, man. But it's because the true Mitzrites were actually scattered by the Most High. The Most High, it was a judgment from the Most High. Just like we were scattered, which was a judgment from the Most High, they were scattered too. And it goes back to what Malek Yahusha had said a while ago. That it was based on how they was moving with Yasharel. Man, Mitzrayim, think about it, y'all. Mitzrayim started getting plundered, y'all. Think about all the nations that started invading Mitzrayim, man. The Greeks came in, invaded. Babylon did. The Romans did, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, Mitzrayim ended up getting plundered, just like the Most High, man. Most High prophesied that through Ezekiel. Stuff wild, man. Stuff wild. It's stuff wild. As it says, and I will scatter the Mitzrites among the nations and disperse them throughout the countries. Yet, thus says Adonai, at the end of 40 years, I will gather the Mitzrites from the peoples among whom they were scattered. Wow. Now, this is deep. I will bring back the captives of Mitzrayim and cause them to return to the land of Pathros, to the land of their origin, and there they shall be a lowly kingdom. Wow. Yeah, that's interesting because, Pathros, that's like Cush and Put. So that's Pataros, H6624. It's the region of the south. So part of Mitzraim and the home country of the Pathusim people, probably located in the upper Egypt. Yeah, that's interesting, man. That is interesting. It shall be, and there they shall be a lowly kingdom. So the prophecy is saying that he will regather Mitzrayim back, that he was going to regather them back, but they're not going to be no world power anymore. They're going to be a lowly kingdom. Verse 15, it shall be the lowliest of kingdoms. It shall never again exalt itself above the nations. For I will diminish them so that they will not rule over the nations anymore. No longer shall it be the confidence of the house of Israel, but will remind them of their iniquity when they turn to follow them. Then they shall know that I am Adon Alua. Man. And it came to pass in the 27th year, in the first month, on the first day of the month, that the word of Yahuwah came to me, saying, Son of man, Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, caused his army to labor strenuously against Tyre. Every head was made bald, and every shoulder rubbed raw. Yet neither he nor his army received wages from Tyre for the labor which they expended on it. Therefore, thus says Adon Alua, surely I will give the land of Mitzrayim to Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon. He shall take away her wealth, carry off her spoil, and remove her pillage, and that will be the wages for his army. I've given him the land of Mitzrayim for his labor, because they worked for me, says Adon Alua. Man, he talking about, you was talking about Babylon worked for him. In that day I will cause the horn of the house of Israel to spring forth, and I will open your mouth to speak in their midst. Then they shall know that I am Yahuwah. So historically there is some information that that basically shows that Tyre, whenever they were being invaded by Nebuchadnezzar, by Babylon, Tyre, they did something with all of their treasuries so that Babylon was not able to take advantage of the spoil the way that they thought that they would have or should have. They took the spoil and fled. I mean, they took their treasuries and fled before they were utterly destroyed. Remember, Tyrus was one of the richest places in the world. It was one thing about Tyrus, it was an extremely wealthy land, extremely wealthy country. Tyre, that's what I should call it, Tyre. In the Hebrew it's Zor, so it's very similar to Mitzraim. But just keep that in mind. So that was a prophecy that so when Babylon had sacked Tyre, they didn't get a lot of benefit from it. So it's like the Most High actually blessed Babylon for doing his works, because it was Yahuwah that had caused Babylon to go against Tyre. And then so Yahuwah had Babylon to come and then to go against Egypt, and the Most High was going to make sure that they were going to get their money, they're going to get their wages, that they're going to get what they need to be through as far as financially, as far as the spoil, through their destroying of Mitzrayim. Very interesting. Very interesting. Ezekiel 30, the word of Yahuwah came to me again, saying, Son of man, prophesy and say, Thus says Adon Alua, well, woe to the day, for the day is near, even the day of Yahuwah is near. It will be a day of clouds, the time of the Gentiles. Ooh. So this gives you an idea of what the time of the Gentiles means. Go to Luke 21 real quick. We'll start with verse 22. It says, For these are the days of vengeance, that all things which are written may be fulfilled. But woe to those who are pregnant and those who are nursing babies in those days, for there will be great distress in the land and wrath upon this people. And they will fall by the edge of the sword and be led away captive into all nations. And Jerusalem will be trampled by the Gentiles, y'all, until the times of the Gentiles are fulfilled. So Yahusha mentioned this, that there was this thing called the time of the Gentiles. Going back to Ezekiel. So it says in verse 3, for the day is near, even the day of Yahuwah is near. It will be a day of clouds, the time of the Gentiles. So now y'all see what this means. Because this is what the time of the Gentiles means. It means it's a time, at least in the book of Luke, it was a time when the Gentiles had trampled Jerusalem underfoot. And they had Jerusalem subdued. And that the Gentiles ran these areas, these regions, instead of the original people. Verse 4, the sword shall come upon Egypt, and great anguish shall be in Ethiopia, when the slain fall in Egypt, and they take away her wealth, and her foundations are broken down. Ethiopia, Libya, Lydia, all the mingled people, Chub, and the men of the lands who are allied shall fall with them by the sword. And you can kind of see a little bit of that in this you do in this map. It does show Lydia here. Does show Lydia right here, but when you got to go onto the continent when you look at like Libya and some of these other areas. But this is talking about these regions surrounding the continent of Africa. Mingle people, Chub, and the men of the lands who are allied shall fall with them by the sword. Let me see if mingle people is Arab. Let me see. Yeah, it is. So you see the mingle people, that's the word Arab, H6154. It's a mixed people, a mingled people, and that y'all, that's where the word Arab comes from. Arab comes from. The Hebrew word Arab, which means a mixed people. It's a mingled people. Verse 6, thus says Yahuwah, those who uphold Mitzraim shall fall, and the pride of her power shall come down. From Migdal to Syene, those within her shall fall by the sword, says Adon Alua. They shall be desolate in the midst of the desolate countries, and her cities shall be in the midst of the cities that are laid waste. Then they will know that I am Yahuwah, when I have set a fire in Mitzrayim, and all her helpers are destroyed. On that day messengers shall go forth from me in ships, to make the careless Ethiopians afraid, and great anguish shall come upon them, as on the day of Mitzrayim. For indeed it is coming. This is what Ezekiel is proclaiming. Y'all like that. Hey, this is coming. Thus says Adon Alua, I will also make a multitude of Mitzrayim to cease by the hand of Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, he and his people with him. The most terrible of the nations shall be brought to destroy the land. They shall draw their swords against Mitzrayim and fill the land with the slain. I will make the rivers dry and sell the land into the hand of the wicked. I will make the land waste and all that is in it by the hand of aliens, foreigners. I, Yahuwah, have spoken. Thus says Adon Alua. I will also destroy the idols and cause the images to cease from Noph. Okay, that's ancient Memphis. It says in the footnotes. Interesting. It's interesting that there's a Memphis in the United States. There shall no longer be princes from the land of Mitzrayim. I will put fear in the land of Mitzrayim. I will make Pathros desolate, set fire to Zon, and execute judgments in No. Okay, that's ancient Thebes. I will pour my fury on Sin, the strength of Mitzrayim. I will cut off the multitude of No, and set a fire in Mitzrayim. Sin shall have great pain. No shall be split open, and No shall be in distress daily. The young men of Aven and Pi beset shall fall by the sword, and these cities shall go into captivity. Man. At Tahaphanes, the day shall also be darkened. When I break the yokes of Mitzraim there, and her arrogant strength shall cease in her. As for her, a cloud shall cover her, and her daughters shall go into captivity. Thus I will execute judgments on Mitzraim. Then they shall know that I am Yahuwah. And it came to pass in the 11th year, in the first month, on the 7th day of the month. And I meant to mention this because when you start in Ezekiel 29, it says in the 10th year, in the 10th month, on the 12th day of the month. And when you look at that timestamp, it's interesting because when you look at Ezekiel 24, I'll put it on the screen, it lets you know that in the 9th year, it says again, in the 9th year, in the 10th month, on the 10th day of the month, the word of Yahuwah came to me saying, Son of man, write down the name of the day, this very day. The king of Babylon started his siege against Jerusalem this very day. So that's in the 9th year of the captivity. That was in the 10th month, on the 10th day of the month. So we go back. You notice here when we started in Ezekiel 29, now it's in the 10th year, in the 10th month, on the 12th day. So that's literally exactly a year and 2 days later is when Yahuwah gave Ezekiel that word to prophesy against Mitzraim. So this is a year, we're 1 year in this point, 1 year after the siege of Babylon against Jerusalem. This is 1 year after the destruction of Babylon, the destruction of Jerusalem. This is 1 year after, this is in the 10th year. So going to chapter 30, now it's showing us a different timestamp, see? So we're getting an understanding of what's going on because this timestamp is actually earlier. And it says here, and it came to pass in the 11th year, in the first month, on the 7th day, so this is a little bit later, some months later. Came to pass in the 11th year, in the first month, on the 7th day of the month, that the word of Yahuwah came to me, saying, Son of man, I have broken the arm of Pharaoh, king of Mitzraim. And see, it has not been bandaged for healing, nor a splint put on to bind it, to make it strong enough to hold a sword. Therefore, thus says Adon Eluah, surely I am against Pharaoh, king of Mitzraim, and will break his arms, both the strong one and the one that was broken. And I will make the sword fall out of his hand. I will scatter the Mitzrites among the nations and disperse them throughout the countries. I will strengthen the arms of the king of Babylon and put my sword in his hand. But I will break Pharaoh's arms, and he will groan before him with the groanings of a mortally wounded man. Thus I will strengthen the arms of the king of Babylon, but the arms of Pharaoh shall fall down. They shall know that I am Yahuwah when I put my sword into the hand of the king of Babylon, and he stretches it out against the land of Mitzrayim. Yashar, it's Pharaoh Hophra, I believe. I'm pretty sure it's Pharaoh Hophra was the Pharaoh during this time. I believe it's in Jeremiah 44 where it kind of goes into that. The actual name of the Pharaoh. Yeah, if you go to Jeremiah 44, that's a through question. Jeremiah 44, verse 30. Yeah, I remember Yirmiyahu was a contemporary of Ezekiel. So if you look at verse 44, verse 30, it says here. Thus says Yahuwah, behold, I will give Pharaoh Hophra, king of Egypt, into the hand of his enemies, and into the hand of those who seek his life, as I gave Zedekiah, king of Yehuda, into the hand of Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon is the enemy who sought his life. So that's giving you this is during the same time, because we know Yirmiyahu and Ezekiel were contemporaries. So, and the prophecies are related to each other. So that's the Pharaoh that's being referred to here in Ezekiel 30. I hope to answer your question, because you can do some more research on that Pharaoh and some of the things that took place. It says, therefore, I'm back in Ezekiel 30. It says, therefore, thus says Adon-Alu, surely I'm against Pharaoh, king of Egypt, and will break his arms, both the strong one and the one that was broken, and I will make sword fall out of his hand. I will scatter the Mitzrites among the nations and disperse them throughout the countries. I will strengthen the arms of the king of Babylon and put my sword in his hand, but I will break Pharaoh's arms, and he will groan before him with the groanings of a mortally wounded man. Thus I will strengthen the arms of the king of Babylon, but the arms of Pharaoh shall fall down. They shall know that I am Yahuwah when I put my sword into the hand of the king of Babylon, and he stretches it out against the land of Mitzraim. I will scatter the Mitzrites among the nations and disperse them throughout the countries. Then they shall know that I am Yahuwah. So he's just doubling down. Yahuwah's doubling down. I'm going to scatter the Mitzrites throughout the countries. There'll be a scattering of the Mitzrites. Verse 1, it says, now it came to pass, chapter 31, verse 1, Ezekiel. Now it came to pass in the 11th year, in the 3rd month. Now we're in the 3rd month, so this is 2 months after the chapter 30. On the 1st day of the month, that the word of Yahuwah came to me, saying, Son of man, say to Pharaoh, king of Mitzrayim, and to his multitude, whom are you like in your greatness? Indeed, Assyria was a cedar in Lebanon, with fine branches that shaded the forest, and of high stature. And its top was among the thick boughs. The waters made it grow. Underground waters gave it height, with their rivers running around the place where it was planted, and sent out rivulets to all the trees of the field. Therefore its height was exalted above all the trees of the field. Its boughs were multiplied, and its branches became long because of the abundance of water as it sent them out. All the birds of the Shamaim made their nests in its boughs. Under its branches, all the beasts of the field brought forth their young, and in its shadow, all great nations made their home. Thus it was beautiful in greatness and in the length of its branches, because its roots reached to abundant waters. The cedars in the garden of Alua could not hide it. The fir trees were not like its boughs, and the chestnut trees were not like its branches. No tree in the garden of Alua was like it in beauty. I made it beautiful with a multitude of branches, so that all the trees of Eden envied it. Wow. That were in the garden of Alua, man. Therefore, thus says Adon-Alu, because you have increased in height, and it set its top among the thick boughs, and its heart was lifted up in its height. Therefore, I will deliver it into the hand of the mighty one of the nations. You're probably referring to Nebuchadnezzar here. And he shall surely deal with it. I have driven it out for its wickedness, and aliens, the most terrible of the nations, have cut it down and left it. Its branches have fallen on the mountains, and in all the valleys its boughs lie broken by all the rivers of the land, and all the peoples of the earth have gone from under its shadow and left it. On its ruin will remain all the birds of the heavens, and all the beasts of the field will come to its branches, so that no trees by the water may ever again exalt themselves for their height, nor set their tops among the thick boughs, that no tree which drinks water may ever be high enough to reach up to them. For they have all been delivered to death, to the depths of the earth, among the children of men who go down to the pit. Thus says Adon-Alu, in the day when it went down to Sheol, I cause mourning. So that's deep, because we know that Sheol is also considered the places where Yahuwah scatters Israel. It's interesting when we look at this, y'all, because it shows you that there's an interesting correlation between Israel and Mitzraim. Y'all gotta, keep that in mind, that we came and became a nation within Mitzraim. Within Mitzraim is when Yahuwah birthed us out. We birthed us out of Mitzraim as a nation. So in a sense, we have a lot of roots in Egypt. We have a lot of history and roots in Mitzraim. Yes, it was due to captivity, but also again, like I said, Mitzraim was a lot of times we went there as a place of refuge. We went there as a place of refuge, even during Yahusha's time. Now, Yahuwah actually did have them to do this. During Yahusha's time, when Yahusha was born, Herod tried to go after all the babies. And because of that, Yahuwah showed Yahusha's dad at the time, Joseph, in a dream that they needed to leave. And so when they left, what did they do? They left and went to Mitzraim. That was always where we ran. In 70 AD, when Rome sacked Jerusalem, I'll submit that we did the same thing then. We fled to Mitzrayim. When you read Josephus talks about how we fled to Africa. You know, it generally said Africa. Said I think millions fled to Africa, but it probably was Mitzrayim. That's basically what we do when we flee that direction. That's where we go, where we always went historically to escape chaos. You know, that goes back to the breakdown of the word Mitzrayim. Says, thus says Adonai, in the day when it went down to Sheol, I caused mourning. I covered the deep because of it. I restrained its rivers, and the great waters were held back. I caused Lebanon to mourn for it, and all the trees of the field wilted because of it. So that's similar to Tyre. That's similar to Babylon as well in Revelation 18. You know, that the nations start to mourn for these major powers when they are destroyed because they receive, a lot of, man, I lost my train of thought. Doggone. I told you that's what I was about trying to get to, but it's all right. It'll come back if it needs to. Says, I caused Lebanon to mourn for it, and all the trees of the field. Okay, that's what I was saying. Yeah, that the nations were mourning for Tyre, and the nations were mourning for Babylon because they were affected by the destruction of these kingdoms, because so many nations, like that's why it talks about this tree. People, you know, the birds had found shade, and the people found shade under this tree and found refuge, and the birds, you know, made nested themselves on these trees and things like that. They benefited from these trees, so when it gets cut down, they mourn. And we know that how that's how it is with America. How the nations, all nations are connected to this land because of the economy, because of big business and export and import and goods and services. You know, like that's it. Verse 16, I made the nations. Oh, well, let me read verse 15. Thus says Adonai, in the day when it went down to Sheol, I caused mourning. I covered the deep because of it. I restrained its rivers, and the great waters were held back. I caused Lebanon to mourn for it, and all the trees of the field wilted because of it. I made the nations shake at the sound of its fall when I cast it down to Sheol, together with those who descend into the pit. That's exile, y'all. That's it. You right on it, Kenrick. That's exile. Descending into the pit. Being exiled out of your land is basically going to Sheol. That's Sheol, the places where Yahuwah scattered us. It's going into the pit. And all the trees of Eden, the choice and best of Lebanon, all that drink water, were comforted in the depths of the earth. Man, they also went down to Sheol with it, with those slain by the sword, and those who were its strong arm dwelt in its shadows among the nations. To which of the trees in Eden will you then be likened in kabod and greatness? Yet you shall be brought down with the trees of Eden to the depths of the Eretz. You shall lie in the midst of the uncircumcised. There you go. It's telling you right here, y'all. This is telling you right here what Sheol is. It's just telling you what it is. You shall lie in the midst of the uncircumcised. You will be in the midst of the nations, in other words, is what this is saying. Because y'all know the Egyptians circumcised themselves too. The Mitzrites, it was their custom to circumcise themselves, y'all. Yeah, man, it's very interesting, the relationship between Yasharel and Mitzraim. It's been a love-hate relationship throughout the generations. You shall lie in the midst of the uncircumcised with those slain by the sword. This is Pharaoh and all his multitude, says Adon Alu. That's what he's saying. That's Pharaoh and all his multitude. Chapter 32, verse 1. And it came to pass in the 12th year. So now we're in another year later. This is in the 12th year in the 12th month, on the first day of the month, that the word of Yahuwah came to me, saying, Son of man, take up a lamentation for Pharaoh, king of Mitzraim, and say to him, You are like a young lion among the nations, and you are like a monster in the seas, bursting forth in your rivers. And remember, the monster is probably referring to alligators or crocodiles. Bursting forth in your rivers, troubling the waters with your feet and fouling their rivers. Thus says Adon Alua, I will therefore spread my net over you with a company of many people, and they will draw you up in my net. Then I will leave you on the land. I will cast you out on the open fields, and cause to settle on you all the birds of the Shamaim. And with you I will fill the beasts of the whole earth. Man, the beast will devour. Verse 5, I will lay your flesh on the mountains, and fill the valleys with your carcasses, with your carcass. I will also water the land with the flow of your blood, man, even to the mountains, and the riverbeds will be full of you. When I put out your light, I will cover the heavens and make its stars dark. I will cover the sun with a cloud, and the moon shall not give her light. All the bright lights of the Shamaim I will make dark over you, and bring darkness upon your land, says Adon Alua. So that's that thick darkness. He did that before during Shemot. Verse 9, I will also trouble the hearts of many peoples when I bring your destruction among the nations into the countries which you have not known. Yes, I will make many peoples astonished at you, and their kings shall be horribly afraid of you when I brandish my sword before them, and they shall tremble every moment, every man for his own life in the day of your fall. For thus says Adon Alua, the sword of the king of Babylon shall come upon you, by the swords of the mighty warriors, all of them, the most terrible of the nations. I will cause your multitude to fall. They shall plunder the pomp of Mitzraim, and all its multitude shall be destroyed. Also I will destroy all its animals from beside its great waters. The foot of man shall muddy them no more, nor shall the hooves of animals muddy them. Then I will make their waters clear, and make their rivers run like oil, says Adon Alua. When I make the land of Mitzrayim desolate, and the country is destitute of all that once filled it, when I strike all who dwell in it, then they shall know that I am Yahuwah. Man, this is the lamentation with which they shall lament her. The daughters of the nations shall lament her. They shall lament for her, for Mitzrayim, and for all her multitude, says Adon Alua. It came to pass also in the 12th year, on the 15th day of the month, that the word of Yahuwah came to me, saying, Son of man, wail over the multitude of Mitzrayim, and cast them down to the depths of the earth. Man, her and the daughters of the famous nations, with those who go down to the pit. Whom do you surpass in beauty? Go down, be placed with the uncircumcised. Man, that's showing you what it means to go down into the pit, is to be placed amongst the Gentiles, to be in the midst of the uncircumcised. That's why it says, go down, be placed with the uncircumcised. They shall fall in the midst of those slain by the sword. She is delivered to the sword, drawing her and all her multitudes. The strong among the mighty shall speak to him out of the midst of Sheol. Man, the strong among the mighty shall speak to him out of the midst of Sheol. With those who help him, they have gone down. They lie with the uncircumcised, slain by the sword. Assyria is there, and all her company, with their graves all around her, all of them slain, fallen by the sword. Her graves are set in the recesses of the pit, and her company is all around her grave. All of them slain, fallen by the sword, who caused terror in the land of the living. There is Elam and all her multitude, all around her grave. All of them slain, fallen by the sword, who have gone down uncircumcised to the lower parts of the earth. Man, who caused their terror in the land of the living. Now they bear their shame with those who go down to the pit. So I submit to y'all, I do believe I remember Melech Yahusha mentioning something along these lines of how even where we're at right now is considered like the Americas is considered like the ends of the earth, like the lower parts of the earth. Now I know there's a literal Sheol that's in the depths of the earth, inside the earth. We're familiar. I know about that. It's an abode down there where you have a righteous part of Sheol, and then you have the wicked part. The righteous part of Sheol is called Abraham's bosom, but that's a whole thing. I did a whole lesson on that as far as where the people go, after they die and things like that, and the concept, of heaven and hell according to the Torah, the scriptures. But when you look during the times of the Torah and Tanakh, during those times, there's this wording where it talks about how when Yaakov died, it says he was gathered to his fathers. The same thing when I believe when Yitzhak died, that was a common it was a common verbiage used in Torah when someone passed or died, that they were gathered to their fathers. And basically where they went was this place called Sheol, but it's called Abraham's bosom. Yahusha called it Abraham's bosom. There's a scripture in Luke, I believe it's Luke 9, but I can't remember for sure. Just for time, I'm not going to go there, but a lot of y'all are familiar with the passage, and it's in Luke 9, I believe, where Yahusha talks about the rich guy and the poor guy. They both go to Sheol. The poor guy goes into the righteous part of Sheol, and the rich guy was in the wicked part of Sheol. And the poor guy could actually see the rich guy. There was a chasm of water that separated between the two parts. And Yahusha called the third part of Sheol, he called it Abraham's bosom. Abraham's bosom. Now, what about heaven? That's a whole nother thing. That's a whole nother thing. Do people go to heaven? That's a whole nother thing right there. Because there is a shift of things. Great gulf. That's right. Yeah, great gulf. And then you can see that it's also Sheol is also mentioned in Josephus, and also Enoch, so it's not. It's definitely that's the concept. Now, there's another aspect to heaven, but we're not gonna get into that. But Abraham's bosom. It's a place that's in Sheol, but it's a place that's a thub part. It's thub though. It's thub. And it's where the ancestors are at. It's a place where it's the regathering of the people. It's the regathering of the people. Y'all think about what I'm saying real quick. Yeah, I'm gonna have to go there, and then we're gonna wrap it. We're about to wrap it up, but let's do this. Yeah, so it's Luke chapter 16, y'all. Luke chapter 16. I was wrong. Not Luke 9. It's Luke chapter 16. All right. We're going to start with verse 19. Now look at this, y'all. There was a certain rich man who was clothed in purple and fine linen and fared sumptuously every day. But there was a certain beggar named Lazarus, full of sores, who was laid at his gate, desiring to be fed with the crumbs which fell from the rich man's table. Moreover, the dogs came and licked his sores. So it was that the beggar died and was carried by the Malachim where? To Abraham's bosom. So a lot of us in the church reading this, we thought Abraham's bosom was maybe somewhere in the Shamayim, somewhere in heaven or something like that. But look at this. It says the rich man also died and was buried. And being in torments in Hades, that's Sheol. Hades is just a Greek way of saying Sheol. And being in torments in Sheol, he lifted up his eyes and saw Abraham afar off and Lazarus in his bosom. Let me ask y'all this. How was this rich man who's in Sheol able to lift up his eyes and see Abraham and Lazarus, the poor guy that was eating bread off of his crumbs from his table? It's because they're both in Sheol. But there are different parts. Let's keep going. Then he cried and said, Father Abraham, have mercy on me, and send Lazarus that he may dip the tip of his finger in water and cool my tongue, for I am tormented in this flame. But Abraham said, Son, remember that in your lifetime you received your good things, and likewise Lazarus evil things. But now he is comforted, and you are tormented. And beside all this, between us and you, there is a great gulf fixed. So that's like a chasm, a water, like a gulf. There's a great gulf fixed. There's a division that from this gulf. And it says, so that those who want to pass from here to you cannot, nor can those from there pass to us. So you can't pass from the wicked side to the righteous side. Then he said, I beg you, therefore, Father, that you would send to my father's house. So I'll leave it at that. Let's see. All right, we're going to look at the book of Enoch, chapter. Oh, I'm going to have to follow up. Let's see here. All right. So I'm gonna look at it. We're gonna look real quick at the book of Enoch, chapter 22. So let's see, Enoch, chapter 22. So I found a Thube version that's gonna. All right. This is the book of Enoch, chapter 22. I'm going to just share my screen so y'all can see it. All right. It says, on the 10th heaven, Aravav, I saw the appearance of Adon, or Yahuwah's face, like iron made to glow in fire and brought out, emitting sparks, and it burns. That's how I saw Adon's face. But Adon's face is ineffable, marvelous, and very awful, and very terrible. And who am I to tell of Adon's unspeakable being? Let's go down to the portion that I'm referring to. Make sure I'm looking at the right one. All right, here we go. All right. Chapter 22. And from there I went to another place. Here it goes. And he showed me in the west a large and high mountain and a hard rock and 4 beautiful places. And inside it was deep, wide, and very smooth. How smooth is that which rolls, and deep and dark to look at. Then Raphael, one of the Kodesh Malachim, who was with me, answered me and said to me, these beautiful places are there so that the spirits, the souls of the dead, might be gathered into them. For them they were created, so that here they might gather the souls of the sons of men. And these places they made where they will keep them until the day of judgment and until their appointed time. And that appointed time will be long until the great judgment comes upon them. And I saw the spirits of the sons of men who were dead, and their voices reached to Shamaim and complained. Then I asked Raphael, the Malach who was with me, and said to him, who is this spirit whose voice thus reaches the Shamaim and complains? And he answered me and said to me that this is the Ruach, the one that came out of Abel, whom Cain his brother killed. And he will complain about him until his offspring are destroyed from the face of the Eretz, and from amongst the offspring of men his offspring perish. Then I asked about him, about the judgment on all, and I said, why is the one separated from another? Now look at this. And he said to me, these 3 places were made in order that they might separate the spirits of the dead, and thus the souls of the righteous have been separated. This is the spring of water, and on it the light. Look at this, y'all. This is referring to Sheol. Likewise, a place has been created for sinners when they die and are buried in the earth, and judgment has not come upon them during the life. And here their souls will be separated for this great torment until the great day of judgment and punishment and torment for those who curse forever, and of vengeance on their souls. And there he will bind them forever. Verily, he's from the beginning of the world. And thus a place has been separated for the souls of those who complain and give information about their destruction, about when they were killed in the days of the sinners. Thus a place has been created for the souls of men who are not righteous, but sinners, accomplished in wrongdoing, and with wrongdoers will be their lot. But their souls will not be killed on the day of judgment, or will they rise from here. Then I blessed Yahuwah of Kavod and said, blessed be my Adon, the Yahuwah of Kavod, in righteousness, who rules everything forever. So that's just one reference from a different, from an external source. And then you can look at this is from Josephus. So Josephus was a historian, but he was an historian from the 1st century. He was a Pharisee. But look what he put here. And this is the discourse concerning the Amens. Now as to Hades, wherein the souls of the righteous and unrighteous are detained. So this makes it a lot even clearer than Enoch. This is what they understood back then. He said, now as to Hades, wherein the souls of the righteous and unrighteous are detained. Now remember, Hades is Sheol. It is necessary to speak of it. Hades is a place in the world not regularly finished, a subterraneous region wherein the light of this world does not shine, from which circumstance that in this region the light does not shine, it cannot be, but there must be in it perpetual darkness. The region is allotted as a place of custody for souls. in which Malachim are appointed as guardians to them. Now remember, we're reading the Brit Hadashah, and it told you that the Malachim had took them down to Sheol, or Hades in Greek, who distribute to them temporary punishments agreeable to everyone's behavior and manners. Verse 2. In this region there is a certain place set apart as a lake of unquenchable fire, whereinto we suppose no one hath hitherto been cast, but it is prepared for a day of determined by Alua, in which one righteous sentence shall be deservedly be passed upon all men, when the unjust and those that have been disobedient to Alua and have given honor to such idols and have been the vain operations of the hands of men, and as to Alua himself, shall be adjudged to this everlasting punishment as having been the cause of defilement, while the just shall obtain an incorruptible and never fading kingdom. These are now indeed confined in Hades, but not in the same place wherein the unjust are confined. For there is one descendant to this region, at whose gate we believe there stands an archangel with an host, which gate, when those pass through that are conducted down by the Malachim appointed over souls, they do not go the same way, but the just are guided to the right hand and are led with hymns sung by the Malachim appointed over that place, unto a region of light in which the just have dwelt from the beginning of the world. So that makes sense, because we saw in Enoch, they even mentioned Cain and Abel crying out regarding Cain. Not constrained by necessity, but ever enjoying the prospect of the through things they see, and rejoicing in the expectation of those new enjoyments which will be peculiar to every one of them, and esteeming those things beyond what we have here, with whom there is no place of toil, no burning heat, no piercing cold. This is Sheol, the righteous part, nor any briars there, but the countenance of the fathers and of the just, which they see, always smiles upon them, while they wait for that rest and eternal new life in the Shamayim, which is to succeed this region. This place we call the bosom of Abraham. Bosom of Abraham. But as to the unjust, they are dragged by force to the left hand by the Malachim, allotted for punishment. And, that goes on and on. But you see the Abraham's bosom mentioned here in Josephus. Josephus was a first century historian. He was a Pharisee. Okay. He didn't even believe in Yahusha, but he understood this concept. So it's just giving you more context on what was being spoken of in Luke 16. Hope that made sense. So think about this. With all that being said, think about this. So there is a place, and I didn't. There's more to it than that. When you're reading Torah, especially when there are times when certain patriarchs died, that the Most High would speak of them as being gathered to their fathers, being gathered to their people. They'll be gathered to their people. And again, that was a specific place they were going to as soon as they died, where they would be back with their ancestors. That's why I submit it's called Abraham's bosom, because Abraham is like the ultimate ancestor. He's the ultimate father of the Israel. You know what I'm saying? Of the Hebrews. But nevertheless, with all that being said, when we're talking about this, so Abraham's bosom was like a through place that's in Sheol, a righteous abode in Sheol. Could that be kind of symbolic, I would say, of the assemblies? Because y'all listen, when they're about to go to Sheol, to the righteous side, the righteous people, the scriptures a lot of times say that they were gathered to their people. So this was a regathering happening to where they're gathered to their ancestors. It's a regathering happening where they're gathered to their people. That's what the righteous part of Sheol is about. That's why it's called Abraham's bosom. You see the face of the fathers there. You can see the ancestors and be with them. It's a regathering. It's like a huge family reunion. You see what I'm saying? That's what the assemblies is about, in a sense. So the assemblies, So Yahusha teaches about the hundredfold family. He teaches about the hundredfold family. Is where it's this regathering of the Kodesh people of Yahuwah, the people of the Shamayim, into these. So Sheol is the places where we were scattered, right? Sheol is the places where we are scattered. And so that what these assemblies do, it becomes a place of refuge, even in the midst of Sheol. Y'all get what I'm saying? This stuff is deep, y'all. So it's like these assemblies are little places of refuge, little places of shalom. It's little pieces of the kingdom where you're with your fathers, where you're with your brothers and sisters, where you're back with your mishpachah in the midst of Sheol. Man, y'all. Ezekiel prophesied this too. We haven't got there yet, but I'm going to skip just to show y'all real quick. We did. It's in Ezekiel 11. We did go through this already. Look at this, y'all. Ezekiel chapter 11, verse 16. It says, therefore, say, thus says Adon-Eluah, although I have cast them far off among the Gentiles, that's Sheol. Although I have cast them far off among the Gentiles, among the uncircumcised, right? That's Sheol. And although I have scattered them among the countries, yet I shall be a little sanctuary for them in the countries where they have gone. So it's like that's I really believe that's a symbolic of Abraham's bosom. That's like an aspect of Abraham's bosom, is these sanctuaries that Yahuwah sets up even in the midst of the places where we were scattered, where you can go there and you're being amongst family, you're amongst the children, you're amongst the people of Abraham, Yitzhak, and Yaakov. It's a regathering of the families. Yahuwah, he becomes a father to the fatherless. He's become a mother to the motherless. He covers the widows, the orphans. He regathers these people, and they become, and it's a hundredfold family. And it's this place of shalom, ahava, and refuge in the midst of the places where we were scared, in the midst of Sheol. All right, let's wrap it up. Let's wrap it up. That's why these assemblies are so important, y'all. These assemblies are so significant, y'all. Like, that's why the refuge is in the house. The refuge, even in the midst of the judgments that Yahuwah is rolling out on the nations, the refuge is in the house. All right, let's keep going. All right. Verse 15, when I make the land of Mitzraim desolate and the country is destitute of all that once filled it, when I strike all who dwell in it, then they shall know that I am Yahuwah. This is the lamentation with which they shall lament her. The daughters of the nations shall lament her. They shall lament for her, for Mitzraim, and for all her multitude, says Adon-Eluah. It came to pass also in the 12th year on the 15th day of the month that the word of Yahuwah came to me, saying, Son of man, wail over the multitude of Egypt, of Mitzraim, and cast them down to the depths of the earth, her and the daughters of the famous nations, with those who go down to the pit. Whom do you surpass in beauty? Go down, be placed with the uncircumcised. So this is showing you what it means to go down to the pit, being placed with the uncircumcised. Verse 20, they shall fall in the midst of those slain by the sword. She is delivered to the sword, drawing her and all her multitudes. The strong among the mighty shall speak to him out of the midst of Sheol with those who help him. They have gone down. They lie with the uncircumcised, slain by the sword. Assyria is there and all her company, with their graves all around her, all of them slain, fallen by the sword. Her graves are set in the recesses of the pit, and her company is all around her grave, all of them slain, fallen by the sword, who cause terror in the land of the living. There is Elam and all her multitude all around her grave, all of them slain, fallen by the sword, who have gone down uncircumcised to the lower parts of the Eretz, who caused their terror in the land of the living. Now they bear their shame with those who go down to the pit. They have set her bed in the midst of the slain, with all her multitude, with her graves all around it. All of them uncircumcised, slain by the sword. Though their terror was caused in the land of the living, yet they bear their shame with those who go down to the pit. It was put in the midst of the slain. There are Meshech and Tubal and all their multitudes, with all their graves around it. So that's, we talked about this last time, but Meshech and Meshech and Tubal are the descendants of Japheth. So those are the people who made up your original people of Europe, people groups of Europe. Like Javan, Tubal, Meshech, places like that. Gog, Magog, these are descendants of Japheth. There are Meshech and Tubal and all their multitudes with all their graves around it, all of them uncircumcised, slain by the sword, though they cause their terror in the land of the living. They do not lie with the mighty who are fallen of the uncircumcised, who have gone down to Sheol with their weapons of war. They have laid their swords under their heads, but their iniquities will be on their bones, because of the terror of the mighty in the land of the living. Yes, you shall be broken in the midst of the uncircumcised, and lie with those slain by the sword. There is Edom, her kings and all her princes, who despite their might are laid beside those slain by the sword. They shall lie with the uncircumcised and with those who go down to the pit. There are princes of the north, all of them, and all the Sidonians, who have gone down with the slain, in shame at the terror which they caused by their might. They lie uncircumcised with those slain by the sword, and bear their shame with those who go down to the pit. Pharaoh will see them and be comforted over all his multitude. Pharaoh and all his army slain by the sword, says Adon Alua. For I have caused my terror in the land of the living, and he shall be placed in the midst of the uncircumcised with those slain by the sword. Pharaoh and all his multitude, says Adon Alua. Man. That's powerful. That is powerful. All right, so I'm going to look at what y'all got. I'm going to need about 1 to 2 minutes. Then we're going to go through what y'all put. All right, y'all. Let's see what y'all got. Let's see what y'all got. All praise to the Most High. Let's see. Shahonda Johnson said he will fight our battles. Hallelujah. Oh, yeah, that's regarding that song. Yeah. All praise to the Most High. May it be so. Yes, sir. Cody Saylor said, Khan, someone said once that how should we expect people to accept our black Messiah when we don't accept their white one? Yeah, that's why I ain't never heard that one. That don't even make no sense. That was in response to when you said there's a distinction between Aluas. That's it. No, that makes sense. That does make sense, though. Benjamin Roseman said, Yahuwah works with the least in order to demonstrate his kabod. He's done this with Dawid and when he ordered those soldiers to drink from the river. Yeah, Gideon. When he ordered, yeah, you're right. No, that's a through point. Yeah. Wansina said the word, Cody Wansina, that was referring to the two witnesses in Revelation 11. Yeah, when fire coming out of their mouth to destroy the enemies, that's a word. Yeah, you're right on it. Lamar Richardson said, Khan, Peter and the other apostles witnessed against the high priest, the temple captain, and the chief priest in Acts 5. Man, that's it. Yeah, that's that word. Yeah, declaring a thing. Malachiah Hilawah, shalom, shalom. He said, just warned a clerk at the gas station talking about trouble. Him adding them to himself. I didn't get that. If you want to clarify, that'll be through or what you meant with that. Just warned the clerk at the gas station talking about trouble. Him adding them to himself. Yeah, I don't get that. Cody said, I said, wow, hallelujah. Yahuwah has definitely been moving me to be slower in speech and really considering what I'm saying before I say it. So hallelujah, confirmation. All praise to the Most High. Yeah, all praise to the Most High. Benjamin Roseman said, Yahuwah already has everything planned and written from the beginning. I cannot see the significance of what we say. If it isn't according to Yahuwah's will, we're just blowing hot air. Yeah, it goes into the power of the tongue, though. You know, you can speak stuff against yourself and not thinking and do the idle words. So it's very significant, everything that you say. The Most High has everything planned, but at the same time, there's a certain level of freedom that you have, where you have to make a decision to do right or wrong, to say the right things or to not say the right things, to speak idle words or to limit that, so, one thing that you don't want to do, let me say this is something that Malek Musha say a lot, is we do not know the mind of Yahuwah. You are not going to figure out Yahuwah in fullness. You're just not. You're not gonna Yahuwah, he does have everything planned out, and he knows everything. He knows the end from the beginning from the end. But at the same time, there's an element where you make a choice. So and if you make the wrong choice, it can affect you negatively. If you make the right choice, it can reflect in a through way. So. Yeah, man. Kimberly Lamar Richardson says, Selah, hallelujah, the Most High revealed to me that our mouths are congruence for Shamayim to the Eretz, congruence for heaven to the earth. Yeah, that's deep right there. I can see that. That's really deep. Cody Wansina said, this is very interesting. I am currently getting certified as a water operator, and in my studies, the United States and many of the other nations think they have ownership over the water still. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I talked about that. We're going into a dominion and how the nations still, they try to have ownership over the airspace, too. That's why you can't just, like, let's say if you became a pilot and you own an airplane, you can't just fly into any nation's airspace. They'll shoot you down just for flying in their airspace because they believe that they own that airspace. You have to get permission to go in certain airspaces, and then they got some places that's called a no-fly zone. Well, you can't fly. They'll shoot it down. Like, the nations really try to be like the Most High. The Most High, He created the heavens, the earth, the seas, and everything in it. He owns it all, and he's the one who has a dominion over those things. And so what's happening is that the nation's trying to do that. They're trying to have dominion over the heavens, the earth, the seas, and everything in it. But let's see here. Cody Saylor said, hallelujah. In response to Kimberly Lamar Richardson. Natanya Smith said, like a base. Yes, the stronghold, the Saudi. Yes. So you're right on the money with that. Said Mary and Joseph was sent there so that Yahusha could be born. Yeah, the Mitzraim. Yeah, so you already called that out ahead of me. Yeah, that's exactly another example, another Thub example of where, at that time Yahuwah did want to do it, where he went to Mitzraim for refuge. Cody Taylor said, wow, sounds like America. Everyone comes here in the midst of chaos in other nations. Yeah. This be the place where all the other nations be fleeing to whenever there's issues going on in their nation. They'll come here to seek refuge. They come over here for a better life. Maybe some of y'all, that was the case, you have people from different African countries who that because of the poverty and stuff and the issues, they'll move down here for a better life. And the list goes on and on and on. So that was, if you keep that in mind, in a sense, that's the aspect of Mitzraim, of Egypt. It's a place, a stronghold in the midst of chaos. Kimberly Lamar Richardson said, verse 3 sounds like Leviathan pride. It absolutely does, because when it talks about pulling them by the hooks, and the scales and things like that. Yeah. So it's very, very similar. And then the alligator, right? The alligator is probably what they're referring to. And so, it's a big sea creature, and that's kind of the aspect of Leviathan. So that's a great point. It's a great point. Cody Wansina said, did we turn to Mitzrayim because they were next of kin and the descendants of Ham? So, that could be an aspect to it, I've heard people talk about that, how Yahusha, he would blend in going to Mitzrayim because we looked like them. You think about Yosef, his Isha was a Mitzrayim, his Isha was an Egyptian. And so that's where you got the tribe of, Manasseh and Ephraim. Yeah, the tribe of Manasseh and Ephraim, came from a union between an Israelite and an Egyptian. Y'all remember Joseph's wife was an Egyptian. You know what I'm saying? Even Moshe, his wife was a Cushite, which is very closely related to the Egyptians. That's why you notice the Cushite is translated Ethiopian in English. And that's why I was mentioning that when we were just reading the prophecies against Egypt, it kept mentioning Ethiopia, Cush. You see what I'm saying? So we did. So Cody Wansina, we did mix with Ham all throughout the scriptures. We did, That's just how it was. So that could very well be something to that. I don't know for sure, but I think the biggest thing is that Egypt was a major power who had a lot of resources, and they were pretty much bordered to Israel. So that's why it became kind of a place of refuge whenever needed. The Israelites always turned there. I think that's the main reason why Egypt was just a very big powerhouse. We looked alike. They had major mad resources for war, for food reserves. They had everything. And so because of that, we had the mindset to always turn to them for refuge and things like that. Like when that, for example, with Abraham, when that famine hit, he went to Egypt, Mitzrayim, So yeah. Malachi Hilawah said a reserved place, land, Canaan. Shahonda Johnson said, wow, obedience is key. That's real. That's real. Kimberly Lamar Richardson said, Khan, the Most High wants his people to rely on him, not war machines. That's right. Solomon knew this. Proverbs 21:31. The horse is prepared for the day of battle, but deliverance is of Adon Yahuwah. That's it. And it's interesting that Solomon was the one who, kind of didn't fully go follow that, but he might have wrote that in reference to learning it, So, because it sounds like when you read some of the Proverbs, it sounds like it was kind of getting towards the end of his more of his later years when he kind of learned. It sounds like he might have learned his lesson on a lot of those mistakes he made, but we don't know for sure. Yirmiyahu 51:21, it says, and with thee will I break in pieces the horse and his rider, and with thee will I break in pieces the chariot and his rider. That's it. Shemot 15:21, and Miriam answered them, sing ye to Adon Yahuwah, for he hath triumphed gloriously. The horse and his rider hath he thrown into the sea. Man, that's it. That's it. That's where you get that who is like you from. Yeshar Yehuda said them Arabs, yeah, that's who's in Egypt right now. That's who runs Egypt. Yeah. Yeah, and they know who we are. Kendrick Lamar Richardson said imposters. Natanya Smith said, which people cause they wish they was. Yeah, I know what you're saying right there. Yeshar Yehuda said Ishmaelites. Khan. Malachi Hilawah said, to this day. Yeah, he said, I know Musha. Y'all talk about that debate that was going on between the Mitzrites and about whether or not the original ancient Egyptians were black. We're not talking about, later on. We're talking about the original ancient Egyptians. The original. I know that later on there was so many invasions. It was because I submit that was due to this prophecy we read today, that there were a lot of invasions from European powers. The Greeks came and sacked Egypt and took it over. We know that then the Romans did too, and we know about the Arab conquest when the Arabs came and they conquered that whole region and took over Egypt. We know about all that. So we understand because of that, there are some things that changed due to that. That's what happens. But we're talking about the original ancient Mitzrites, the ancient Egyptians, like the Pharaoh Tutmosis and them, that was in the Pharaoh that was in the scriptures, that was in Shemot, or, things like that. They were, quote unquote, what we would call black. Okay. They just were. So anyway, but that's not it's Africa, it's just interesting that people are in the age of information, that people are still battling on that. Kimberly Lamar Richardson said they were so offended about that Cleopatra documentary. Man, look, hey, sometimes the truth is offensive. Sometimes, hey. Malachi Hilawah said, them records, yes, sir. Yeah. Yeshar Yehuda said they lie about the mummies, too. They do. They trying to play around with that stuff, man. But, man, that's neither here nor there. They why do you think all those noses were broken off of those ancient statues? I forgot what the big one was called. Well, they broke the nose off of that. Why do you think they did that? Because there was something that was trying to be hidden. There was something that they wanted to hide, because there was a deliberate attempt to steal an identity of a people. And they knew they couldn't do that with those ancient artifacts chilling all over there, showing clear how the people look. So, one thing that's very distinctive about people in that Near Eastern region is the noses. You see how my nose? Wide and broad. And the reason why is because in hot temperatures and arid temperatures, it's better to have the wide, broad nose for it's just a way that the Most High made us to be able to adapt in more arid temperatures. We have wider noses and broader noses. It makes it better for us in arid temperatures. So that's why in the more colder climates, generally speaking, so in arid temperatures, you're going to see our skin, is usually naturally darker for people who are from places like Mitzraim, places like Israel, places like Northeast Africa, pretty much all the continent of Africa, because of the arid temperatures. So Yahuwah made it so that we can live there and flourish there and be through there, that our skin is naturally going to be darker. We're going to have broader noses. There's just certain characteristics that the Most High did so that we can flourish there. That's why when other people groups try to move there and live there, they have a lot of issues, issues with skin, sunburn, even like skin cancer, all kind of things like that, because, they're not really designed to live in that type of climate and landscape. In the more colder areas, you'll notice their noses are not like this. They're different, generally speaking. I know there's always exceptions, but generally noses are thin. They're, just a different shape to really handle that climate out there. Usually the skin color is naturally lighter, because you're not getting as much sun. You're not getting as much, and things like that. So there's no getting around that. But nevertheless, says Natanya Smith says, so Dante Fortune has a book called Indisputable Proof with the pictures and the resources from Yale and Cambridge and old books. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, I know. I definitely know of him and saw some and have looked at some of his research before, and most of it's pretty thorough. Most of it that I have seen so far, at least. But yeah, all praise to the Most High. Natanya Smith said 40 and 400. Yeah, you're talking about how the Mitzraim would be scattered for 40 years. Yeah, 40 and 400. That's hand in hand together, like 400 years. That's always something about that with testing and trial and the time of captivity. So, like a sentence to number 4. Yeshar Yehuda said, Ezekiel 30:13, Yah will destroy Egypt's idols too. Do you know why Yah allowed King Josiah to be killed by the Egyptians under Pharaoh Necho? 2 Kings 23:29, man. That's a through question. And yeah, I do believe that Josiah was killed pretty young too. He was pretty young when he was killed, because he became a leader at 8. He started really young. And yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. The scriptures, from what I remember when reading it in the past, doesn't really specify why, but it may have just been that it was time. So the Most High didn't want the judgments to fall on Israel while Josiah was leading, because Josiah was generally a righteous king, so yeah, he died in war. He got killed by the Egyptians pretty young. And then the next king, all the kings after him were wicked. That's when Israel went into captivity. But there was a prophecy before that Israel would go into captivity or would be sacked after him. It was something along those lines. So it does make me wonder if it might have something to do with that, or it may have just simply been that Josiah did something. He did do something wrong. He did move the wrong way that caused that to happen as a judgment. Doesn't necessarily mean that he was an all-around wicked king at all, because we know that he was a righteous king. But we don't know. It could be possible that there may have been a wrong turn he took that caused him to get killed prematurely, though. Let's see. Do you know what Goshen was called by the Egyptians? That's a through question. I don't know. I don't know what the Mitzrai's called, but that might be worth looking into. Ivan Yawan Little said, Shalom Mushal, Shalom Mishpaka. Oh, Shalom, 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 Shalom. All right, let's see. And he asked, who was Pharaoh when Ezekiel wrote this book? Yeah, I saw that one earlier. Pharaoh Hopra. Let's see here. Kimberly Lamar Richardson said, Khan, exile equals death. That's real. Yes, it. Biblically, exile equals death. Yeshar Yehuda said, Hosea 11 verse 1, out of Egypt I called my son. That's it. So yeah, that's prophetic about about the nation too. So, that's a through, but because if you read Hosea 11, I believe it starts talking about the nation of Israel. And then it starts talking about out of Egypt I called my son. And so it's just kind of showing you that it was prophetic about Yahusha when he came out at that point in time. When he came out of Mitzraim, after that, the Herod killed all those children. But it's also about us coming out of Egypt, coming out of Babylon, the resurrection of the nation. Let's see here. Malachi Hilabal said, hallelujah, that brandished sword. Yeah, with the great gulf. Yeah, regarding Sheol. A prepared spot, themed throughout Torah. Eleazar's name, significant as well. Abraham for clue, yeah, you're right, Eleazar, yeah. That's a through point. Oh snap, that's a through point because Lazarus, in Hebrew, I believe is Eleazar. I believe that is his name in Hebrew is Eleazar. So you're right. That's like Abraham's servant. His name was Eleazar. Yeah. So a helper of Elu or something of that sort. Yeah, that's a through point, man. Oh, snap, that's a through point. So then that goes to as far as Lazarus. Luke chapter 16, with Lazarus being in the righteous part of Sheol, that can even have an aspect of something along the Ezer, the helpmeet, the helper, which is a connotation to a bride. Remember, Yahuwah had made the bride to be the helpmate, the helper, the Ezer. And who is the bride? See, that drives home the point I was making earlier. Don't the scriptures say that the assembly is the bride of Yahusha? That the bride of Yahusha is the assemblies. That's what the scriptures say. That we are the bride of Yahusha. And so with Eleazar, again, that means a Lewis helper. So that's the Ezer connector. That's the helpmeet. That's what Eve was called. That's bride language. And so that also supports what I was referring to earlier of how the righteous part of Sheol could also be symbolic of the assemblies. It's a place of refuge in the midst of captivity. A place of refuge in the midst of Sheol. In the midst of the places where Yahuwah has scattered us. So, man, all praise to the Most High. Great point. Let's keep going. See here, Yeshua Yehuda said, did Mashiach empty Abraham's when he went to Sheol and rose to the Shamaim, Abraham's bosom? Yeah, so that's a whole thing right there. Very possible. Because there was a shift. There was a shift in the Brit Hadashah as far as the concept of, going to the Shamaim. Because there are people that go to heaven. So very possible. I actually believe that probably is the case. Good through question. Let's see. Shahanda Johnson said, what a revaluation. Khan. That's real. Natanya Smith said, secret place. Yeah, that's real. That is real. Natanya Smith said, sent you an email. I'll check it out after this. Malachi Hilawal said, speaking about a word and their power. Oh, okay. Let me go back up because I kind of forgot what they were. Speaking about a word and power. Okay. Let's see. Oh, okay. When you say you just warned the clerk at the gas station talking about trouble, him adding them to himself. Okay. Okay, understood. A little bit at least. Felton Ben Yehuda said facts. He said when the diaspora made so many attempts to mix Latin mixed up with everything, even people, we are mixed up with the diaspora. We need to come back to Jerusalem. Khan. Baruch Atah Yahuwah, Baruch Atah, Baruch Abba, and keep the law, Mishpaka. Khan, hallelujah. Yahweh said, Yahweh ben Dawu said shalom. All praise to the Most High, y'all. All praise to the Most High. Well, all right, y'all. Well, much ahavah. Love y'all. Most High willing, we do this again next week. But very, very powerful. Yahuwah to be praised, y'all. We will jump back on it. Shalom, shalom.
Turn me up a little bit in the headphones.
It's a guarantee we're going back to our home. We know we're going back where we belong. It's a guarantee we're going back to our home. We know we're going back where we belong. We know, we know, we know, we know, yeah, we know. We're going back where we belong. We know, we know, we know, we know, yeah, we know. We're going back where we belong, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, baby. Make sure you get on the dance floor. We going back home. Sister so-and-so, I see you. You got a prosthetic leg, but it's prophetically speaking. Let's go!
It's a guarantee we're going back to our home. We know we're going back where we belong. It's a guarantee we're going back to our home. We know we're going back where we belong. We know, we know, we know, we know, yeah, we know. We're going back where we belong. We know, we know, we know, we know, yeah, we know. We're going back where we belong, yeah, yeah. So we're going back to Jerusalem. So we're going back to Jerusalem, yeah. So we're going back to Jerusalem, back unto the motherland, yeah. So we're going back to Jerusalem, and it's a guarantee that we're going back. So we're going back to our home, yeah. We're going back to where we belong. We're going back to our home. We're going back where we belong. We know, we know, we know, yeah, we know. We're going back where we belong. We know, we know. We're going back where we belong. It's a guarantee we're going back to our home. We're going back where we belong. It's a guarantee we're going back to our home. We know we're going back where we belong. We know, we know, we know. Said we know, yeah, we know. Yes, we know. We're going back where we belong. We know, we know, we know, we know. Said we know. We're going back where we belong.
Oh yeah, we still here. We still dancing for the Most High. We going back, baby. You may have came here in a wheelchair, but look at you now. You got new shoes on. Just as good.
So
We going home.
dance. I'm gonna dance, yeah. 'Cause we're going back to our home.
I don't know.
So I'm gonna dance.
Hey, you over there?
'Cause we're
in the
going
corner.
back home.
You ain't in timeout. Get in. Hey, you dead.
Yeah. Said it got me like, said it make you wanna dance for. Make you wanna do a dance for. Said lift your hands and do a dance for. Said it make you wanna, let's go. Make you wanna dance for. Said it make me wanna dance. Said it make me wanna dance for. Maybe wanna do a dance for. I lift my hands and do a dance for. Said it got me like.